So Penny, I've lived in your house for a year or so, I think it was, quite a few years back, and I kind of know that you're fairly politically active, and of course anybody that sort of follows politics and reads the Herald and will see your name cropping up every now and again, challenging Auckland City Council and occasionally getting dragged out of meetings for demanding more public accountability on anything from water rights to privatisation of any public assets. What what would you say has been the key benefit of all this work? I mean, if I was to really put the hard question to you and say, what outcomes have you got that make you feel that challenging these big kind of Goliaths is worth the bother? What would you say that you've maybe achieved that kind of makes you feel like it's worth it, that they really can be brought under heel, and that the public really can get more say in big politics?
Oh, there's a number of things really. With the Water Pressure Group, which I was media spokesperson for, and still am, we had a series of significant victories. Well, water in the Auckland region has still not yet been privatised, and we've been fighting that since 1998, where the corporate agenda was to set up one big Auckland water company and then contract out the operation and management to United Water down in Papakura, which is owned 100% by Veolia, which is the biggest French multinational in the world. And they've been sitting there like a giant octopus wanting to unfurl their tentacles to grab the prize. But to date, they haven't. And it was the Water Pressure Group's policy of which was based on direct action. We disputed and refused to pay Metro Water bills, which ended up resulting in people actually boycotting court. We've done a lot of things that other groups in the world haven't done, and we actually what we've done has actually been internationally significant. We had a big victory in 2007 when, on the 20th of September 2007, the local government select committee ruled that the practice of Metro Water charitable payments was deemed to be unacceptable, and this was the rort where Metro Water charges for water and wastewater were increased, and then the council would take profits raised from water services and use them for other council activities. So it was using Metro Water as a cash cow, and it was just a disgrace because anyway, what happened was we had a petition just signed by 40 people and accompanied by a fuss, and we ended up getting an inquiry. So people that think that parliamentary petitions don't mean anything, that's not necessarily the case at all, and we've learned that one. In terms of other things that have been achieved, another very significant, internationally significant change was we got a change to the Local Government Act, where in the past, in the bad old days, what happened was Metro Water, this council-controlled organisation that was responsible for water and wastewater services, what they used to do when people disputed their bills, they went to the extent of actually, well, first of all, they used to put in restrictions in the water meter. We had our famous Water Pressure Group turn on squad and remove the restrictor. Then they'd remove water meters, and we'd put in connections to counter that. And in a number of cases, they actually dug up the street and removed the pipes from the mains to attempt to permanently disconnect water supplies. Well, we dug up the street, we replaced the pipes, we poured concrete over the pipes, and this was on national TV. And we ended up bringing about a law change that's now illegal, that no council in the country can actually do that. And that was a significant international and national victory for the human right to water.
So basically your overall overriding feeling is that these big bureaucrats are sort of sucking more and more money out of the everyday citizen to the point where there's kind of hardly any spare money left for the poor little Joe and Average.
Well, what happened was part of the Rogernomics reforms back in the 1980s, when they had the first lot of council amalgamations, and what happened was, under Rogernomics, was this myth that public is bad, private is good. And so what happened was there was a massive move to contract out a lot of council services, like you used to have an old council works department, where things like fixing the roads, fixing the footpaths, fixing the water pipes, that was done in-house. And what happened was, basically I think there were just a lot of greedy business people who just sort of thought, there's a lot of public money there, we'd like to get our snouts into that trough, and that's exactly what's happened. And what's ended up happening is, this is at local and central government level, there's basically billions of dollars of services that once upon a time were provided in-house, which have now been contracted out. Well, I've done a lot of research here because, I have the belief that the public majority should benefit from our public monies, not a contracting minority. And if there's never been any cost-benefit analysis that proves that all this privatisation, all this contracting out, is actually cost-effective for ratepayers, well then it's corporate welfare. And how fair is that? And I was actually an Auckland mayoral candidate, and at meetings, public meetings, I'd just say to people, well, if all this, if all this contracting out has been so efficient, then just one simple question, over the last 20 odd years, have your rates gone up or down? And if they haven't gone down, well, you've just been fed a load of bullshit. It's as simple as that. And of course, with the super city, what's the first thing they did? Put the rates up. And so all this myth that, we're going to get these economies of scale when we abolish 8 councils. Well, in actual fact, what they've found is that the transition and the integration costs have been more expensive than the so-called savings that they were supposed to get from forcibly abolishing our 8 former councils, because we never got a vote in that.
What you're saying sort of makes sense to me, in a way that, that there should be some way. First time ever, but how many other people have you got on side that are sort of agreeing with the general tenor of what you're saying?
Well, I think now, of course, when you're putting forward a point of view which is quite contrary to the corporate agenda, then you don't get mainstream corporate media attention, funnily enough. And but if the track record is there to see, and if people want to bother having a look at websites such as www.stopthesupercity.org.nz, www.pennybright for mayor, that's number 4 for mayor, www.pennybright number 4 for epsom.org.nz, you just have a check at what was said and see whether or not some of us, because history's got a habit of proving who's right and who's wrong, some of us have been blowing the whistle till our eyeballs bleed, trying to explain to the public, beware, that these things are not in the interest of the public majority. And now, with the benefit of now, the Super City was put in place on 1st of November 2010, we're now 13th of March 2012, check it out. Who was right and who was wrong? I tell you, it's really simple. The Super City was all about setting up bigger contracts for bigger contractors. So getting rid of a whole lot of little snouts in the trough and replacing them with fewer but bigger snouts. Now, and what I'm trying to help expose is, well, at the time I said it's a corrupt corporate coup, all sorts of conflicts of interest, and what I'd really like the public to get a handle on. Have you ever heard of the Committee for Auckland? The Committee for Auckland is basically the business roundtable on steroids. It's not just CEOs of big business, but it's also CEOs of district health boards, CEOs of tertiary institutions, CEOs of corporate Māori, and CEOs of corporate charity. And it's invitation only, $10,000 a year membership fee, incredibly powerful organisation, extremely influential, not one elected person anywhere to be found. But at the same time, you have got members of the Committee for Auckland in pivotal positions in the so-called public Auckland Super City Council. For example, the CEO, Doug Mackay. He is a member of the Committee for Auckland. He's from private business background, 30 years in the liquor industry. Then you have 4 out of 7 of the council-controlled organisations, chairs of the boards, again, more unelected business people, but the 4 out of the 7 chairs, they are members of the Committee for Auckland. And the question on my mind is, how many contracts since the Super City was set up, back in the days of the Auckland Transition Agency to begin with, and then once the Super City Council and the CCOs were set up, how many contracts have gone to businesses that are members of the Committee for Auckland?
Okay, but basically all this is about basically cutting the costs that these guys are charging the everyday public, isn't it? It's about sort of stopping them robbing the everyday member of the public.
Well, the thing is, where is the transparency? Under the Local Government Act, we are supposed to be entitled to open, transparent and democratically accountable local government.
Yeah.
My question, which has still not been answered, is where is our public money going?
Yeah.
I want to see the name of the contractor or consultant, the scope of the contract, the term of the contract and the value of the contract. The devilish detail, in my considered opinion, should be published in council annual reports so it's available for public scrutiny.
Yep.
It's our money, where's it going? And I haven't paid anybody anything. I haven't paid Auckland City Council rates since 2008. I haven't paid the new Super City Council 1 cent. I've been taken to court. I refuse to pay. I don't know where the money's going. And so, well, I'm not a cash cow. All pay, no say. So
Yeah.
I'm not paying.
Great stand to take. Because, I think we've got to be very careful about how we spend our money. There's a lot of people that are really hurting in the country,
Yes.
and a lot of people that need a bit of extra money to pay for medicines and sick children and things like that. And if we've got all these fat cows in the, big council chambers making secretive decisions and throwing out wallopfuls of money towards any secret little contractor that they want to throw a wad of money at, how are we ever going to look after those that really do need a bit of looking after, like the elderly and the frail and the sick and kids and stuff like that? So, I would totally support you in terms of we should be able to see where our money's going, and we should also be able to decide what we're going to spend our money on, and then once we've decided what we're going to spend our money on, we should be able to decide how it's going to be spent on that, because we're the guys that are paying it. Those guys are just sitting in their silk suits taking our money, essentially. That's all they're doing.
Well, the other thing that's of real concern is that I've come to the understanding now that the root cause of corruption is privatisation. How is it decided who gets the contracts? Where is the transparency? Where are the registers of interest that show any possible links between those who are giving the contracts and those who are getting the contracts? We do not, at local government level, there is no statutory requirement for a register of interest, like there is for MPs. Okay, there's a register of interest and you can check to see if people have got shares in companies, etc. When it comes to local government, no, there is no publicly available register of interest. Now, that's just for elected representatives. What about staff? Because when you actually dig in, you find out that there are a lot of contracts that are decided by unelected bureaucrats. Well, how do you know the contracts aren't going to their mates? It is not good enough. And what really gets me is New Zealand is perceived to be, by Transparency International, the least corrupt country in the world.
Okay, Penny, look forward to working with you more on these issues of democracy and transparency.
All good.